there was a truck. I was like, you don't even know if that's the right truck. And he just started shooting him. I told those fools no. I don't.
This is 26-year-old gang member Daniel Gomez, and he has just confessed to being involved in a drive-by shooting that killed an 11-year-old boy. Just 2 weeks earlier, Daniel Gomez and his two friends had attended a baseball game where they spotted someone they believed was a rival gang member. Later that night, after leaving the game, they saw what they thought was the rival gang's car and fired 14 shots at it. But
This confession, chilling. Daniel Gomez admits to being in the car during a drive-by that killed an 11-year-old boy. But listen to his hesitation. I don't know. Was he coerced, scared, or just guilty? This case is about to unravel like a nightmare.
55. I don't. This is all I got. Chest seals, right? That's it. Hey, hold on real quick.
Tatiana had been shot 5 times. In critical condition, officers rushed to her side, keeping her conscious until paramedics arrived. She was raced to the hospital as her family watched in horror.
I swear on God, we're good people. We don't do anything to anybody. They probably think it was somebody else.
Maria Villegas, the mother in the back seat, was exactly right. Just minutes earlier, Tatiana had been peacefully driving her family home from a baseball game, unaware of the horror about to unfold. Meanwhile, only a few feet behind, 22-year-old Jose Romero was at the wheel of a black Dodge Durango, accompanied by his two friends, 21-year-old Nathan Garley and 26-year-old Daniel Gomez. Earlier that night at the game, Romero had spotted a rival gang member, the same one who had stolen a chain from him weeks earlier. Fueled by revenge, Romero and Garley had tracked what they believed to be his car and decided to open fire. But the most tragic news of all had yet to be delivered to the Villegas family. Unfortunately, Tatiana was not the only one in the vehicle that was struck by the gunshots.
How's my son? Please tell me. Yes, you guys.
I do not know. They're working on it right now. Stay here, okay?
No, please. Did they see him alive?
I don't know. I know the ambulance was working on it.
Okay, what did you see?
I saw the lady coming out of the cart and she was running to the street with the baby in her arms.
What lady?
The mom of the baby, the son.
Okay, in the truck?
Yeah, she goes out and she was trying to wake him up, get him up, you know. And then she came to the truck and she stopped us and she says, call the cops, my son's been shot.
Did you see anything at all before that?
Imagine this mother's agony. Her son shot in the head and all she can do is scream for help. The sheer injustice. This family was not the target. A gang feud turned an innocent kid into collateral damage. That's not just crime. It's a failure of humanity.
You hear anything?
No, we were just traffic was going.
You were in the truck too?
I was driving.
Okay.
11-year-old Froyland Villegas, who was sitting in the backseat of the truck, had been fatally struck in the head. The bullet had killed him upon impact.
This is what I have so far. Okay.
Watching Turkey, they were at the game, and then mom, who was in the truck, they were driving westbound, and this car, they said they started shooting at them from out of nowhere. It was a black Jeep Cherokee traveling westbound. Last time it was seen here in Redbury.
Okay. I've got a casing right there.
She said there was a guy out of the sunroof with what looked like a rifle. I have the male in the truck. His name's Froylando Villegas. He was born in 2012.
So he's 11.
Yeah. So Tatiana Villegas was the female driver. She was COT to UNMH.
How old is she?
She was born in 99.
Okay, so she's
an
20.
adult.
That's not her kid though?
That's not her kid.
Is that her brother, or how are they
I think
related?
it's her niece.
So niece and nephew.
Niece and nephew of her. And she was in the back seat with her son, Pablo Villegas.
So mom of this 1030, who's 10-7, was in the truck with him.
Yes, in the back seat.
And female passenger who got shot 3 times was sitting
I'll
where?
walk this.
In the
Yes,
driver's
there's
seat.
Okay, she was driving. Mom was in the back seat.
Yes.
This disastrous mix-up had left Tatiana Villegas paralyzed from the waist down and her 11-year-old cousin brutally killed. With the scene now calming, police would begin the grueling task of piecing together exactly what had happened. Up to this point, all they had to go on were the initial police calls reporting the shooting and a vague description of a black car. Having already spoken to those who were simply present at the scene, officers now focused on questioning witnesses who had actually seen the shooting unfold.
I'm not sure what all information you guys got. I was right there in the fucking crossfire. We did not get hit or nothing.
Did you get a good look at the person who was shooting?
I did not know this now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where were you guys at? Did you hear anything?
Yeah, because we were walking that way, and then once we get over there, we see a black Durango walk this way, and it had 60 windows, and then after it gets right here, we just hear like five gunshots to like 3 or 4.
Did you guys see anybody in the car?
No, they had all their windows up. And they were black.
Police now knew they were on the lookout for a black Durango and any of the men responsible for the reckless shooting. However, identifying the prime suspects would be no easy task, as police still had no clear motive for the sudden attack. With this, they returned to the victims the next day, hoping to gather any missing information that could help crack the case.
First and foremost, my condolences to you both, okay? I've heard some of the statements that you're wondering why. That's a question you can ask. So many families have asked that.
I was there with my baby. And they were just supposed to lie. I believe this was university.
Yeah.
And I started hearing like boom, but I didn't know what's going on. And then she suddenly stopped the truck, and then that's when I saw this black SUV, I believe, with the guy coming up from the sunroof with a big rifle. And then my son went like this. Then I said that day, what's wrong? What's happening? And she said, I can't move. Yeah, just call an ambulance. And I grabbed my son's face, and he was full of blood, you know. And I slapped him, and I said, Froy. But in that moment, I knew he was dead because he was with his eyes open. So I grabbed the baby from the car seat, and I got out from the truck, and I started screaming, you know, for help, and nobody stopped.
This was a nightmare that no family should ever endure. Police knew they had to act fast, not just for the Villegas family, but most importantly, for 11-year-old Froylin. Officers received a crucial update the next day. Tatiana had survived. For the detectives, this interview was critical. Tatiana wasn't just a survivor. She was the only known witness who could help police narrow down the list of suspects and piece together what really happened that night.
Hello, Tatiana. My name's David. I'm gonna go easy with you, okay? Pleasure meeting you. Okay, sorry it's meeting you in such a way. Reason why we're here is I'm the primary detective handling you and your nephew's case. Okay.
So all I heard was like boom, boom, boom. And then I turned and looked at my auntie, and I was like, did we hit something? And that's when I just saw my body go numb, like my stomach.
Okay. So you said you heard a distinctive boom, boom, boom. Okay. When the car started past you, when you're looking at the car, could you see over the top of the cab of the car? Was it higher than you, or was it lower than you?
It was like after like the shots, I did stop, and then that's when I saw the guy at the top. Shoot.
Okay, the guy on the top shooting. Okay. Did you ever see the driver of that car? No. Okay. When the car went by, how many people were shooting at you?
I only saw the guy whenever he passed again. He was at the top. I only saw him.
You only saw one guy. Okay.
Shooting, and he was standing at the top of the sunroof.
The details matched prior witness accounts. However, one key fact stood out. Tatiana was certain that a single gunman had fired the shots. Detectives soon received a breakthrough. Anonymous tips from the public led them to 2 alleged gang members connected to the case, Blick and Risk, marking the first major lead. But the case wasn't solved yet. A third suspect was still out there, and detectives needed to track him down to piece together the full story and close in on everyone involved. Then came another shocking discovery. A day after the shooting, the man allegedly feuding with Risk taunted him on Instagram, writing, "You shot at the wrong truck." That's when investigators identified the intended target, Isaiah Vasquez, who was completely unharmed. 5 days after the shooting, Vasquez was brought in for questioning.
Have you had any problems with anybody over the past couple of weeks?
We'll sit down.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
You're positive on that?
Although Vasquez wasn't a suspect, police were convinced he knew more than he was letting on.
So I got information about, what's your girlfriend's name? Sabrina and her boyfriend, which we did find you.
Okay.
Had an argument with a rival gang member. Okay.
Okay. I'm not from the gang at all.
Okay. This is how it was brought to me. I'm not here to point fingers.
No, I'm here listening. That's fine.
And that person who had that argument with you, we'll just leave the whole gang portion of it out. Okay. Wanted to shoot you. The information is very specific that you had a similar colored vehicle to my victim's vehicle.
Okay.
And looking up your vehicle, your information, you have owned in your history a Dodge Crew Cab, white pickup truck, whatever you want. With that, do you have anything to say about that? Has anyone confronted you or argued with you?
I went home with bad, you know what I mean? I didn't, nothing like happened while I was like around there.
Okay.
His responses were evasive. Despite appearing cooperative, his indifferent attitude frustrated detectives.
So like he meant like,
oh really?
Isaiah was evidently putting on an act here and knew far more than he was letting on. But this could not be determined by police as there was no solid evidence to prove that Isaiah had been arguing with anyone at the game. And while this, as well as driving a similar car to the victims, was naturally going to raise suspicion, it does not implicate Isaiah or prove his involvement in their gang-related feud. The key detail detectives need is a description of the prime suspects, but Isaiah refuses to provide it, insisting he doesn't know their identities at all.
So Blake wasn't there, huh?
I don't know who that is.
No, like, you know, Risk either. Jose, anything.
Officers had discovered the street names of 2 of the prime suspects, known as Blick, Nathan Garley, and Risk, Jose Romero. Although they had the names of the men they were searching for, they didn't know where to find them. And after Isaiah's unsuccessful interrogation, police were at a roadblock. However, much to the police's joy, it would only be a day after that none other than Nathan Garley, Blick, would be stopped by state police on September 13th while returning from Arizona. Authorities found a gun and around 100,000 tablets in the car. As soon as they ran his information, officers discovered he was already a wanted suspect in the Froy Vias murder. His arrest led police straight to Jose Romero, who was also traveling to Arizona and was taken into custody the same day. With both men behind bars, only one suspect remained, 26-year-old Daniel Gomez. What's most interesting, however, is that police wouldn't have to search very far, as exactly one day after both Nathan Garley and Jose Romero's public arrest, the third suspect would turn himself into the police station, Daniel Gomez. And while Daniel confirmed being in the Dodge Durango that night, he decided to give his own recollection of what happened.
Having these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me?
I want to speak with the attorney first.
Okay.
Something that, I just would feel comfortable with someone present with me that knows more about legally. It's not like, because I'm here to talk to you guys. There's a reason I came to you guys.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would feel more comfortable with someone that knows more about these things.
No, it's absolutely fine.
At first, Daniel did the smart thing, invoking his right to an attorney. But it didn't take long for him to change his mind.
With that, we're done. I can't go any further. I'll be direct with you. You're under arrest. You've been charged with an open count of murder. Numerous other, like shooting from a motor vehicle, attempted murder. I understand each one of you have the same charges.
Suddenly, Daniel was willing to talk. Faced with serious charges, he only saw one option: tell his side of the story.
Each one of you have the same charges. Each one of you.
So I got a question. Just a question.
That's fine. I can answer questions.
If I was to speak to you guys today, what would happen exactly? I want to do this.
Daniel claims he feared for his life, but here's the problem. He waited days to come forward. Was he truly terrified, or buying time to craft a story? And why is Jana Garcia suddenly calling him an angel? The threads of this cover-up are fraying.
Because it isn't right what happened, and you guys need to know.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, I do this, my family gonna die. That's my question.
Police now had to determine whether Daniel had indeed been receiving threats from the other men and feared what would happen if he snitched, or if this was a complete fabrication and Daniel was way more involved than he was letting on.
If we could solidify some of that stuff, that may help you. We might be able to solidify some of your statements of the threats to you.
Well, it all started about 10 o'clock in the morning. I had asked a friend who goes by Risk if he wanted to go have some dinner. When he picked me up, there was another guy, they call him Blick. I have known Risk for a long time, known like his family and stuff, but I've never known his friends, so.
Okay.
Daniel's motive from here can be easily guessed. He mentions Risk as a long-term friend, but makes it clear that he's not well acquainted with Blick. It would make sense to pass all blame on to him instead of his good friend.
We had finished up eating, and then we went to play some. What's really going on? Blick and that Bostonetto guy are kind of smiling at each other. All of a sudden, that guy starts heading towards the far exit. Riz says, "Hey, we have to go." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because I have to go pick up my daughter, so we have to go." Blick says, he turns to Risk and he says, "Hey, that fool's circling around with some homies with the Mac looking for us." So they jumped in the car and they pulled up to me and they told me to get in. We were about to leave. I was like, "Hey, can you just take me home? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really feeling comfortable." He's like, "Just hold up. We're looking for somebody real quick." And I was like, who? And he just kept saying, my cousin. There was a truck, a white truck, Dodge truck. And Blake goes, there's that truck. I was like, "You don't even know if that's the right truck." I said, "Stop acting like an idiot." I said, "Riz, take me home." Riz like took off and I ducked and I screamed no. And he jumped out the sunroof and he just started shooting them. And so they flew all the way back to Risk's and I was crying. I said, you guys gotta let me go home, you know? And that's when Blick turned around and he told me, he said, "If you tell anyone about this, go to anyone. I know where your grandma stays and I know where you stay." And I told him I wouldn't say nothing.
What seemed to be a straightforward gang-related incident has now turned out to be more complicated than ever. Daniel had claimed that he had no part in the horrifying events that took place and feared that his life was in danger.
And it's haunted me. It was just an innocent baby. I told those fools no. They just wouldn't let me out the car. I just wanted to get out the car. I didn't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be in that situation at all, sir. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't come sooner. I was just so scared for my life. I'm still scared. I don't happen to me. These guys have a lot of money, a lot of power. It's not funny, it's scary. At this point, I don't care what's been said about me. That little boy needs justice. He needs justice.
Daniel is potentially digging his own grave here. By placing himself at the scene of the crime, he has incriminated himself, and the statements he makes definitely casts further suspicion on him and whether he is trying to save himself here.
For what the fuck happened to him, no kid should ever have to go through that. That's why I'm here and I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
Was it Risk who cocked the gun?
No, it was Blick who cocked the gun.
It was
Risk was driving the car.
Risk was driving.
Risk kind of was doing the same thing I was, telling him no. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it. And he didn't give a fuck. He just did it.
No remorse. It's like he had done it before. Okay. You know, it was like he was already used to it. To him, it was nothing but a little adrenaline rush.
Daniel describes Blick as the main perpetrator, even going so far as to say both himself and Risk were arguing against the shooting. From Daniel's own words, they both were unwilling participants who believed the white pickup Blick was shooting at was not their intended target.
I know that day we went to the apartments, there was a girl there, but he didn't introduce me to her. She was a blonde girl, real petite, short, big lips, nice pretty smile.
What police knew for certain was that Daniel was in the car that ultimately took an 11-year-old boy's life. Whether the guilt was eating Daniel alive or he was making a desperate attempt to save himself, he did ensure to give away a description of someone who could have also possibly been involved. With this in mind, officers would redirect their attention to this blonde girl, the girlfriend of Jose Romero, Jana Garcia.
Even though, I'm scared for my life, to talk and speak up, but it's only the right thing, I think, at this point.
Janae mirrors Daniel's statements, stating she fears for her life and didn't want to snitch. Gang culture is built on loyalty and brotherhood, reinforced by a deep-seated us versus them mentality. Snitching is not just discouraged, it is punishable by death. But this enforced silence that doesn't just protect them, it only serves to implicate them further. Janae was clearly influenced by this, making her involvement in the killing even more suspicious.
Nathan is the one that shot at the vehicle. He goes by Blick here in the streets. The people that he thought was driving that, Nathan had a shootout with them like 2 months ago, I think. And then going on this about the shooting of the 11-year-old, Nathan was the one that shot out the car.
I'm not protecting Daniel or nothing, but Daniel, he's an angel. Daniel, he really didn't do anything.
Although Janae's remarks may seem dishonest, her comments about Daniel Gomez stand out. Despite barely knowing him, she defends his character, raising the question, is she protecting Daniel to stop him from...
Gang loyalty silenced witnesses, but it couldn't hide the truth. A child is dead, and 3 men are charged. Yet the real tragedy? This wasn't even their target. When revenge blinds you, everyone loses. What's your take? Was justice served?
Saying anything that could incriminate all 3 of them? She pins everything on Nathan, but as Jose's girlfriend, she may just be making him the fall guy.
If you do know that information, probably best to give that up, because they will come down to the minute details of everything in court. And that's what I'm trying to make sure that I put the right person, because they're all charged the same. Until we get all the information that we need, they will all be charged the same.
Yeah, I did see that.
Jana Garcia, 22, was charged with tampering with evidence for helping Jose Romero and Nathan Garley dispose of the SUV used in the shooting. Meanwhile, Nathan Garley, Jose Romero, and Daniel Gomez were all charged with murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy. Villegas' death marked Albuquerque's 2nd fatal child shooting in a month, prompting Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham to declare gun violence a public health emergency. In the aftermath, the Villegas family launched a GoFundMe for Tatiana, raising over $40,000 to support her recovery.